Hello again, ready for section 2 of Moonrise by Sarah Crossan. Okay. Auto shop. When I told Reed's uncle at the auto shop last week that I was headed to Texas for the whole summer, he didn't take it well either. I don't know if I can keep your job open, Joe, he said. I got guys queuing up to apprentice here and you're taking off. I hadn't explained to anyone apart from Reed the real reason I'd be gone. Shame, and Reed must have guessed it. Give him a break, Uncle Sammy. Joe's got some girl knocked up and needs to get out of Arlington before her brothers do him in, Reed said. Sammy rubbed his greasy hands against his blue overalls and frowned. You're lying. He's lying, I said, but I gotta go. I'll be back though. Sammy sighed. Okay. You're a hell of a lot better than Reed at getting dirty anyway. I'll give you that. Reed grunted and reached for a wrench. I prefer to get dirty in other ways. Sammy watched me. You're still standing there, Joe. What do you want? I didn't like to ask. It felt like begging. I'm owed 2 weekends? Reed snickered. Sammy rolled his eyes, reached into his pocket and pulled out a roll of 20s. How much? He asked. Team wrong. Back at the motel, I call Angela. Her voice is high-pitched and something is buzzing in the background. I can't hear you, Ange, I shout. The buzzing stops. I'm at the bar making mojitos, she says. You okay? I want to tell the truth. Say, no, I'm not okay. It's hot. I haven't any more money for food. I'm solo doing this, which isn't how it should be. I'm 17 years old, for Christ's sake. Why aren't you here? Why isn't Aunt Karen? Mum. I found an apartment, I say, leaving out the bit about the bugs. Will the cash have cleared in my account yet? She coughs into the phone. Should have, she said. But then that's it. The boss won't give me an advance, so it'll be next month before I've got cash to come down there. Aunt Karen? I ask hopefully. No way. She's still super annoyed. She picked up more stuff, said she isn't moving back in. I don't even know how we'll make the rent unless she changes her mind. And how the hell are you going to eat? I'm looking for work. I wish I could get more cash, Joe. I half laugh. How exactly? Ask strangers for handouts? We could never get away with that. Begging for loans to be with our brother. See, we aren't the people anyone pities. No one cares whether or not we get to be with Ed at the end, how poor or hungry we are. The cop's widow, though, if she set up a crowdfunding account to buy a black dress and matching hat, you'd have people donating big time. The widow of a murdered guy. Do you take MasterCard? But we aren't her. We're not the victims here. Instead, we're on the other side of right, players for team wrong. Have you seen Ed? Angela whispers. I go to the bathroom, run cold water into the shower. No, I admit, I haven't even tried. Chicken. Ed wrote to me last month asking for help. I'm the one he thought he could rely on. He probably imagined his baby brother had grown into a man, but I'm too chicken to even call the prison and inquire about visits, let alone drag my sorry ass up to the gates and try to get in. Letter from Ed. Hey Joe, how you doing, man? You best be studying hard or I'll kick your ass. Nah, I'm just playing. Thing is, I didn't write Angela this week. Tell her it's my bad, but I need you to break something to her. I got my date through. Guys here telling me it's nothing to panic about, just to get a date. But if I'm honest, it makes me rattle like old bones, because it means they made up their minds and want to do me in. And for what? For nothing. For something I never did. The date they settled on is August 18th, Joe, but I got another appeal to go in the state courts before then, and we could go to federal for a couple more, I think. Also, there's a chance the governor will stop it, or the president. So August 18th is what they're planning on, but if I convince them of the truth, it might come and go, and I'll still be standing, you know? Thing is, I got no lawyer to advise me and explain how everything works, because the state don't pay for lawyers until eternity, right? Anyway, the prison's priest is doing some detective work and finding out what's what for me. Thing is, I'm wondering if you could come visit. Father Matthew says that even though you're not 18, they might let you come if Angela can't, on special request. I wrote the warden and I'm waiting to hear. In the 9 years I've been locked up in Wakeling, I only seen him a handful of times on the row. No one comes down to see us deadbeats unless they have to, I guess. But he seems like a regular kind of guy, worth asking. Anyway, I'll mail this now and write again when I know more. Don't freak out, okay? Let me do the sweating. I got plenty of time for it. Be cool, little brother. Ed. What it meant. I got that letter 2 weeks ago, read it, then threw it on the floor. I couldn't touch it. Those words, what they meant, what I guessed they meant, because even Ed didn't seem too sure. I was standing in my bedroom, and when I looked up, Angela was in the doorway, purse under her arm. She pointed at the rug, the letter lying face up, Ed's scrawl all over it. How is he? She asked. I wanted to tell her everything, but couldn't figure out what I knew. He's busy, I said, which was stupid. He's in prison. How busy could it get? Did he like my card? She smiled, scratched her belly. He didn't mention it, but he did mention an execution date. He said I shouldn't worry, but for the first time in 10 years, Ed asked to see me, sort of said he needed me, which he'd never done before. He'd always known the deal with Karen. Didn't want to mess up things for Angela or me in Arlington. You guys get on with your lives, he said in a letter once. So we tried. We tried really hard to pretend Ed was okay, that his death sentence was mythical and not something that would ever really happen. I closed my eyes, rubbed my face. What time did you get in last night? Angela asked. About 1, Karen snapped, appearing behind her. If you want to graduate next year, Joe, you have to study. Where were you? The year's almost over, Karen, I told her. I wasn't going to admit I was with Reed, smoking weed, figuring out how to cheat on our Spanish test the next day instead of just studying for it. I closed the door on both of them and picked up the letter. I read it again, just to be sure, and I was. It was true. My only brother would be dead within 2 months, and there was nothing I could say or do to stop it. A decision. When I finally told Angela, she shook and twitched, wouldn't eat the eggs I'd scrambled. She said she'd go to the bank for a loan, get him a lawyer, said she wanted to go down to Wakeling to help. But then Aunt Karen got home from her night shift at the hospital and tried to shake sense into my sister. There's nothing you can do, and I won't have you wasting your money or your life fighting for someone who's not even sorry. Without a lawyer, he has no chance, Angela argued. That isn't our fault, Aunt Karen snapped back. He's my brother, but not a good one. I stood between them. I'm going to Wakeling, I announced, not knowing before the words were out whether or not I really wanted to see Ed. But someone has to be here. Angela's got a full-time job, Aunt Karen hates him, and no one knows where the hell Mum is. That was decided 2 weeks ago, and nothing's changed except one thing. Ed now has even less time to live. Mugshot. The only TV channel in the motel that isn't pure static is the early morning local news. I watch the muted screen, pulling on my sneakers, when Ed's mugshot pops up. He looks mean, chin raised, eyes small, face bruised. I stare, scared. What if Ed's like the guy in that mugshot and my memories of him aren't real at all? And then his picture vanishes and photos of Frank Phelan flash up, blue-eyed on a beach somewhere, sand in his toes, another of him in police uniform, and then a family portrait with his wife and kids, strawberry blondes, all of them, with ripening smiles. I've seen these faces before. Newscasters love revealing the beauty of the victims, like they're the only ones who get slammed. Reporters don't give a damn about our family. We're not a story, we're dirt. Although I guess that's a lot easier than having to admit that by killing our brother, they're just pummeling more people. The feature about Ed's looming execution ends and a weather map replaces it. Texas is covered in blazing yellow suns. I lace up my sneakers. I'm going for a run regardless. Morning run. The traffic lights click and change, though Wakeling streets are still mostly empty of cars. I run fast, measuring my splits on my watch. I'm slower than usual. I run and run, try to get my speed up and don't see anyone, which is exactly why I go out first thing, for the quiet, the feeling of being the only person alive. I pound the sidewalks, my heart beating a million miles an hour, and all I can focus on is breathing, on not keeling over, which suits me just fine. In Walmart. Mr. Porter stops me in Walmart. He had his son in the cart. Brown goo around the kid's mouth. Joe, I saw Reed last night at training. He told me you ain't going to the track and field summer programme in the city. No, sir, I can't. He bit the insides of his cheeks. I had to apply for funding for the programme. You didn't get the place by accident. His kid stood up in the cart. tried to climb over the side and make an escape. Mr. Porter pulled him out, let the boy waddle up the cereal aisle. Something came up, sir, I'm sorry. And you've missed a week of training. I'm kind of disappointed. You know my thoughts on your performances, but I can't force anyone to want something, and talent isn't enough. You have to work hard. I'd come to the store for toothpaste. I hadn't planned on getting grilled by a school teacher. He meant well, but it was summer vacation. He'd no right to nag me. I gotta go, sir, I said. Is something going on? He asked. Nah, everything's cool, I said. I don't want anyone's pity. Home sweet home. The landlord kicks a pile of junk mail from the doormat, leads the way into the kitchen and rips open the envelope I've handed him. He counts out the cash and holds a $50 bill into the light. Flies hum around us. No late checkout, you got that? He dangles the keys in front of me. I snatch them and he sucks on his teeth. What are you in Wakeling for anyway? You know someone at the farm? I turn on the cold faucet. Yellow water dribbles onto the mouldy dishes piled up, then abandoned by the previous tenant. He shuts off the water. It'll run clear in a couple of minutes. He glances around like he might have forgotten something, then takes off, slamming the door behind him. I flick a switch. Nothing happens. I try another. No light. I dart to the door, holler into the hallway. The electricity's out. Hey, there's no light. I'm alone, and the hallway is in darkness too. Little murders. I murder close to 20 cockroaches with the base of a rusty pan. Their backs crack and crunch. The apartment smells worse than I remember, like whoever lived here let their cat or kid wee all over the carpets. In the living room, I try opening a window, but it's painted shut. Crime and grease cake the pane. I check my phone. No one's messaged or called since yesterday. Not Reed, Karen, not even Angela. Which is sort of surprising and a bit rubbish. Do they think I'm here soaking up sun and scratching my ass? I'm here for Ed, that's it. I'm here because he's my blood. He needs me. It's what I have to do, but if I had a choice, I'd be on a plane home, I'd be gone. A single cockroach scuttles out from underneath the spongy sofa. I stamp on it, then look up and realise the damn things are crawling the walls. No reply. I message Reed. Hot as hell here, man. What's happening? After a moment, I see he's read the message. I watch my screen, waiting for his reply, but nothing comes through. And then he's offline. So I put my phone into my back pocket and head out. Star Wars. We used to play on the sidewalk, brandishing long sticks as lightsabers, caning one another and really feeling the force of it. Then Ed got a real lightsaber, gave it to me grinning. Join me, he said, Darth Vader croaking. But the dark side never really appealed to me, so I lit up my green sword and used it to slice him to pieces. He groaned, rolled on the ground, while the kids in the neighbourhood watched, jealous for a brother like mine. We watched Star Wars obsessively, and during a bad storm when school closed, saw every movie back to back, only stopping to grab bags of chips for nourishment. Can't we watch anything else? Angela groaned. Ed turned to her, horrified. I feel like we shouldn't be family anymore. He threw a pillow at her and she smiled, slumped on the couch next to us. Seriously, Ange, you're missing out. Angela doesn't like fighting, I said, to defend my sister, and Ed nodded sympathetically, then sucked on the back of his hand. Yeah, she prefers kissing. Angela covered her eyes with her forearm. You're grossing me out. That must be how you kiss your girlfriends. We were creased up, but hushed as Mom slithered into the sitting room. I'm ordering takeout, she said. Her eyes were black-rimmed, sweatpants and hoodie creased. She coughed and coughed until she had to leave the room, then called in from the kitchen. Angela, can you phone for pizza? My voice is cut to crap. Sure, Mom, Angela said, her tone like sunshine, as though Mum wasn't a complete screw-up. Can we get plain cheese? I asked. Of course we can, little man, Ed said, pulling me close, turning up the TV. R2-D2 slid across the spaceship. Angela dialed for dinner and we watched Star Wars into the night while Mum threw up in the bathroom. She said she had a bug, told us not to come close in case we caught what she had. And even though none of us bought the bug story, we all kept out of Mum's way. When the cop got shot. After the first call came through from Ed, Angela tried to explain what he had been accused of and what might happen next, but I never really got my head round it. When the kids in my class asked for the details, I couldn't think what to say. Ed had taken off months before, right after his big bust-up with Mum. I had no idea where he was the day Frank Phelan got shot. The day it happened, I was on a field trip to the Liberty Science Centre, eating a bologna sandwich, thinking about space, Mars mostly, a planet so close, so completely inhospitable. I wasn't thinking about cops or death, and until Angela explained it, I didn't know that to be accused of murder in the wrong state was fatal. Ice and flame. Aunt Karen took me into New York City the Christmas after Ed was convicted so we could skate in Central Park, something I hadn't done before. She held my mittened hand, stopped me slipping on the ice. All I was thinking was how much funnier the trip would have been with Ed. He'd have made Karen lighten up, laugh, instead of worrying about the other skaters' blades chopping off our fingers if we fell. Afterwards, we walked down Fifth Avenue to St. Patrick's Cathedral, where Karen lit red candles and in front of the tiny flickering flames prayed for our family on her knees. I lit a candle for Ed. Thought about him alone during the holidays, in a cell with no tinsel or twinkling lights, no chance of seeing a full moon or any moon for that matter. Did you pray? Aunt Karen asked on our way out, dipping her fingers into the stone font and crossing herself with holy water. In the street, I admitted. I prayed for the cops to send Ed home. Karen knelt again, in the middle of the sidewalk, this time to look me straight in the eye. I've read the reports and spoken to the lawyers, Joe. Forget about Ed. He isn't ever coming home, okay? Ever. People nudged me with the corners of their fancy shopping bags. He told me he didn't do it, I said. He's lying, she said. You're lying, I never said. Instead, I decided right then never to defend Ed again and let my aunt believe I didn't love him anymore. Miracles. Sue is outside Bob's diner, smoking and blinking at the sun. You're here, she said. I thought you was full of crap. Where's the car, I ask. She uses her hand as a visor, looks me up and down. You gonna fix it with superpowers, hun? I lift my baseball cap, scratch the hair beneath it. I hadn't thought about tools. Sue snickers. Bob don't need a needle and thread, but lucky for you, I borrowed my Lenny's toolbox. You see something missing, I'm for it, so you give it back how you found it, right? She wags a bejeweled finger at me. You also need a miracle, but Lenny didn't have none of those. You looking for a miracle, hon? I shrug, try to look tough. Who's at the farm? She asks. Huh? First the landlord, now her. Is it written on my face? She sucks deeply on the cigarette. Look, no one shows up round here unless they got business at the farm. I hesitate. Do I trust her? Even if I don't, I can't keep Ed a secret for long, not in a town this size. My brother's down to die next month. Sue raises her eyebrows. And you're in Texas alone? I don't mind, I lie. I kick the dirt. Is he guilty? She asks. What am I supposed to say? Well, Ed says he isn't, and he never lied to me before, but who knows? Guys on the road must lie all the time. She drops the glowing butt of her cigarette, grinds it into the ground with the heel of her rubber-soled shoe. You want hot breakfast, hun? I nod. Why the hell is she being so nice? She doesn't know me. And what she does know is the bad stuff, the stuff I usually keep to myself. Junk is open out back. Good luck. A farm. When dogs get put down, parents tell their kids the mutts got sent to a farm to live out their last days with peppy ducks and rabbits. And it's as though the state of Texas thinks we're all just as stupid as kids calling the state penitentiary Wakeling Farm, like inmates lie around on hay bales and spend their afternoon milking cows. But just like the dogs, most guys who go to this farm don't ever come home. The junker. It really is a junker. Dried out grass growing around the wheels, hubcaps gone or stolen, the hood infected with rusty scabs, not a dribble of oil in the clapped out engine, no gas in the tank. I've no idea where to start, but if I want to eat, I've got to get this crap heap running, and soon. Okay, I'll stop there for now. I hope you'll be back tomorrow to find out what happens next.